Hello and welcome back to Medicine in Small Doses with Dr. Amobi. I'm your host, Uju, and thank you again for joining us. We have another great episode in store for you, and today we are looking at, why malaria still wins and the mosquito secret. And it sounds a bit odd, but you will understand by the end of this episode. So make sure you're comfortable and enjoy this episode. So, Dr. Amobi, you once told me a story about when you were in Heathrow Airport and a man who arrived from Nigeria who was suddenly quarantined, and then it just went on from there. So, if you want to just let us into this week's story.
I actually appreciate we usually use story to lead this talks in most instances, which is quite cool, because what happened was when I was a student. This man just arrived from Nigeria. He was shivering, feverish, barely able to stand. So even the airline actually radioed it in. So upon arrival to Heathrow, I believe, he was surrounded by police and the ambulance, etc., and then he was moved straight into isolation.
Wow, okay.
So and
this is pre-COVID and all that.
And that was way before COVID.
That was a thing.
That was even before the Ebola stuff, right?
Wow,
because one of the things though is when somebody's coming from exotic places, you don't know what they're bringing into the country,
course.
right?
No, yeah.
Yeah. So the infectious disease team, they put full regular of hazmat suits, and they were all because of malaria, because of course at the time nobody knew what it was, right? So I was in the team that was looking after him, and so he looked at me and said to me, "My brother, I think it's just malaria. Why are they treating me like a leper?" I was like, dude, it's not about they are treating you like a leper. It's all about protection for, because if you have something that is deadly, then everybody who is on the plane with you needs to be contacted. There has to be it's tremendously important. It's a sensible but of course understandably drastic measure. You know what I mean? So
I do. But just reading that every 2 minutes a child dies of malaria, which is quite an unfortunate statistic. And it sounds like time is running out for someone's baby also every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's tragic that malaria is preventable and also treatable.
Yeah.
And as you said, it still kills over 400 people every year, right? 400,000 people per year.
Wow.
And most of them were children under 5, right? And almost half of the world population live at risk of malaria. You know what I mean?
I just don't understand how this is still possible in 2025. You've got the nets and I don't know.
All of this
you've got
stuff.
all the, you've got medication injections. So it's just.
Yeah. No. I think medicine and every charity, so many people, there's so much effort. I believe that a great progress has been done between the years of year 2000 to 2015. I think the estimate is that they cut malaria death by 60%.
Oh, okay.
Right? But I think from 2016 the cases start creeping up again. So even WHO, UNICEF, they've warned that the progress is slipping, right? So, and what's astonishing is that the 3 most hit countries, like Nigeria, Rwanda, DRC, in terms of Congo, and they're seeing more infection than before. So it's quite tragic.
No, it sounds very much so. So let's talk about this little villain, the mosquito. Just thinking about it, sometimes I want to slap myself, but some people swear mosquitoes love them more than others, and I think I'm one of those people. I always.
No, and true, people are not imagining it.
All right.
Mosquitoes are like picky hunters. So they can follow. And this is very interesting. I'm not sure if you know this. They can follow your the carbon dioxide in your breath.
Wow.
Right? They can track your body heat. They even prefer certain skin odors in certain blood types.
No,
right?
I knew it.
Right. So if you're like type O blood, you wear dark clothes or dark colors, you know, or even had a drink, you know, congratulations. You were like on the evening special.
I don't know why I'm finding out this more, because I get absolutely like a buffet eaten, and I was saying that even though I had really thin leggings on, I was treated like a delicacy. So thanks for that. Oh goodness. Anyway. So my friend was saying that mosquitoes respect me.
No, I think that's a bit of a chemistry between you and Mosquito.
I get devoured. So if you're out there and you're listening like me, I just need to know, maybe you drop a comment, like the minute you land in any climate where there's mosquitoes, no matter what you're wearing, are you being chewed? Doctor's saying it's because of your blood type and wearing dark colours, or if you've had some kind of drink. I don't drink alcohol, so maybe it's juice, I don't know what, smoothies, then you are about to be eaten. So
you know,
welcome to the club is all I can say. Yeah.
I think mosquitoes in Nigeria are very disrespectful. In my estimation, as somebody who's been there, is there are two, and this is not scientific. There are two categories of.
It's not scientific, or is?
No. What I'm saying now is just anecdotal, my own opinion.
Okay, fine.
There are two types of mosquitoes, right? There are like mosquitoes that, you know, ideally when mosquitoes are biting you, right? They have this little, very small needle, like they will pierce your skin. They will blow air on it. That's why most people don't really like see it.
Yeah.
And then the only time you know is like when they've already flown away, right? Then those ones are, at least they do it exactly how nature designed them. At least you get a little bit of fun out of respect. There are some mosquitoes in Nigeria that when they want to bite you, they come with like fork, knife, and spoon at the same time. I don't know if they've bitten you before. They dig into your skin so much, right?
Just gave it
that you can actually like. And they're like, I think some of them have like suicidal ideations. They will stick on your skin, and you can see, if you look at the belly, if you're strong enough to just watch them, right, to bite you, so they've done that, you can see their belly filling up with blood, right? And even after they fill up with blood, they even bite off some skin off you just for good measures, and they will not even give you a little fan that God gave them naturally to at least. Somebody who is skinning you, the little they can do is just give you a little fan. These ones are that's why when you hit them and they're so lazy to get out, so if you smash them, your whole hand will like be full of blood. So right, malaria mosquito is
pesky
one,
bugs.
And then they start like flying around your ears and stuff like that. You see grown people like slapping themselves just to kill the mosquito. Man, I think mosquito is solidly disrespectful. Is
it also true that actually they can hitch a ride in luggage? Like if you are traveling back to the UK, for example, from Africa.
Yeah.
Do they? I didn't know they can live. Okay, so they live.
They can. Absolutely.
Okay, right.
It's a real thing. It's called airport malaria.
Oh gosh.
So let's say, for example, you went to your village, then you put in your luggages, etc., and a mosquito is trapped in that luggage,
right,
or whatever you cargo in over here. They can survive long enough to infect someone in England, in the US. Wow. Just by sitting in your luggage, you come back, you open it, bang, it comes out and then bites someone. And it's rare though, but it happens. You know, so essentially, it reminds you that malaria doesn't care about your borders or your visas. You know, they're just like,
right.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way for them. In terms of, well, you've once mentioned actually a Nigerian woman who didn't need malaria tablets, or thought she didn't because she had immunity. So that's something, you know, we hear a lot as well. We don't need it. We've got immunity. So can you just clarify?
Yeah. So she said to me, doctor, and I grew up with malaria. My body knows it, and that couldn't be any is such a dangerous misconception. The immunity people build in Nigeria or whatever you're from is not permanent.
Right.
Yeah. We call it semi-immunity. It protects you as long as you're constantly re-exposed.
So you're traveling in and out of the country.
Yeah, and it doesn't really stay on there like too long, essentially.
So how long before it fades then?
I think I was speaking with a very esteemed colleague who works in infectious diseases. He actually feels, even the stats will say like usually your immunity start fading after a few years. Studies show that people like Nigerians who lived abroad for 4 to 5 years may lose some of their protection. Okay. But my colleague, that gentleman I was talking about, says to me that some people lose immunity as early as 6 months. So when they return to visit their friends or family, they're as vulnerable as any tourist out there who's never encountered them.
Does it matter how long they lived in the country prior, or?
Yeah, so let's say, for example, you
someone
have
that
your
grew up and was like
British friend went with you, but you haven't been to Nigeria for the past 6 months, for us, according to my colleague. Yeah. Then you will be almost as vulnerable as that person who's never been there.
But what if I lived in Nigeria up until, 30, came here for 6 months and went back? Is that the same case?
Yeah, so even within that domain, we still advise people to take their malaria prophylaxis medicine to protect. Because if you look at it this way, most people back home who's still there are still getting malaria. Yeah, that's true. What I mean? So what makes you think like after you left, you're going to be a bit more special than them?
And also, I've heard that malaria can come back months later. Is that right? Even after you leave the country?
Yeah.
And you don't get anything when you get back, but... Is that right? Or you've had it in the country, then you've flown back?
Yeah. So this is particularly true with one of the malaria parasites. It's called Plasmodium vivax. So when it bites you, it can go it can leave some of those parasites in your liver, so it stays dormant, like a secret sleeper cell. Right, so it can stay there for months, even years. Then suddenly, it reactivates, and then enters your bloodstream, and then you become sick again. So if this particular thing bites you in Kenya, like August 2024, it's now what month are we now?
October
2025.
Yeah.
If you decide to reactivate today, you may get malaria type of symptoms today, even though you haven't been back to Kenya for the past since like August 2024. Yeah. So
that's so chilling. Goodness. Yeah. That's tough.
That's exactly. That's what makes malaria so hard to eradicate. Some of these dormant parasites, and the most interesting thing is they're not even show up in blood tests. They just sit there quietly waiting. One other fun fact the infectious disease guy was telling us is that sometimes, if let's say, if I could remember this correctly, what he was saying was that some of them will leave the parasite when their age mates back in their host country start hatching. This one may actually reactivate similar to the time their mother who hatched another egg or their relatives in Africa. I didn't understand that part. I was like, bro, I think I've had enough. This is crazy. This is wild. So
okay, so let's get practical. Say there's a family of 5 parents and 3 children, maybe at age 3, 1 and 6 months, are traveling from the US or UK to Nigeria or anywhere in Africa. What's your malaria advice?
So my number one is I'll say no one is immune anymore. Yeah. So if you're abroad, your body has lost its natural defense to malaria, right? So it's all about protection. The 2 ways, or I call it the 2 layers of protection. there's what you can do, and then there's what medicine can do for you. It's like what you can do for yourself, like a personal protective measures, right? And then number 2 is the medication part, which is like preventative malaria medication. We call it chemoprophylaxis.
Right, okay. Well, let's start with the practical protection.
Yeah, sure. So I would say every one of them, 5 of them that are traveling, should sleep under insecticide-treated bed nets. You can get them in Amazon.
Right.
So whenever I'm traveling, I always like buy some. You can get some in the country where you're going to, but I always prefer to take them with me, right? So and then you can use DEET-based repellent safely. In the evening, particularly, I would say wear long sleeves. Yeah, and then keep your rooms screened or air conditioned. I think that goes without saying.
Okay, brilliant. So for the kind of the drug side or medicines, which ones would you recommend?
So I think I'll prefix this to say this is not a medical advice. This is just for information purposes.
Okay, yep.
So if you're actually planning to travel, every clinic would have their own travel nurses or travel doctors, etc. Please make sure that you see them. And I'm going to talk a bit more about this later. However, and if you look at all the evidence-based literatures out there, particularly if we're talking about like for West Africa, the main preventative drugs are like malaria. So some people may take like just one a day. They start typically like a day or 2 before they travel, and then they take it throughout the duration of their stay, and then continue for 7 days after they've returned to their country. Some people may take mefloquine, or we call it Lariam. Some people take it weekly, so they start like 2 weeks before they travel,
right?
And then they take it throughout their whole stay, and then they continue for another 4 weeks after they come back.
Brilliant.
Some people are perhaps aware of doxycycline. Again, it's a daily dose. We don't typically give it to young children or pregnant women. So there are varieties of medicines, and of course, your liver it's very important to metabolizing these medicines. So make sure you speak to your doctor. That's why I couldn't say it enough to speak to your doctor, because you just don't want to go and buy something and then it causes more harm than good.
Of course.
Your doctor figure out which one is the best one for you.
And is that the same scenario for a baby that's 6 months old?
This is where you absolutely need like a more travel specialist advice, right? Because infants have immature liver. So, and these medications, like I said earlier, are processed in your liver, and the liver, the immature livers process drugs very differently. So the dosages for older kids, doesn't apply. So you need to see a GP or a travel nurse, whatever, before, at least between 4 and 6 weeks before you travel.
Right. So
there was a medicine actually that was approved in 2025 for young infants. It's called Coatem Baby. It's regarded as a more pediatric friendly option. So if a baby or a young child can't take this medication, because most of them you have to take them orally, you have to swallow them.
Of course.
If they can't take oral medication during a severe infection, for example, there is a WHO approved emergency treatment for children aged 6 months to 6 years. It's like a rectal, they put it through your back passage, they call it rectal artesunate. Then for babies who are under 5 kilogram, and those who are not like suitable for medication, then what you have to essentially focus on is 100% mosquito avoidance. If necessary, don't travel.
Right.
But if you have to, if it's mandatory, if it's extraordinarily important, then nets, clothing, repellents, keeping the place that you sleep secure.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's not just about having a tablet then, it's about building layers of protection.
Exactly. It's like, think of it like a shield. Yeah, you start early, and then you layer your defense, and you keep up. You keep that up until you're safely back to wherever you traveled from.
And in terms of the timing, does that have significance too?
Yeah, because like I said previously, some drugs start like weeks. You have to start them, a few weeks before you even travel.
Okay.
And you have to take during and after, and if and it's very important that, again, the utility of speaking with your doctor is that they have to make sure that the medicine is not interacting or indeed contraindicated if you're on any long-term medications. Right. Does that make sense?
It does. Very good practical sense. And it can definitely save lives. So
absolutely. Malaria is more of a like teamwork. Families, your doctors, the awareness. And there's so much awareness of malaria out there. It's extraordinary. The world is like a very small village now. People traveling left, right, and center. So the information there's wealth of them. But I would say make sure you if you have to read, go to like the WHO and have at least you're getting it from a more trusted source. Yeah.
No, I like this fact because it's not. We can't just assume. Sometimes we might think you're immune, or or just not take it as seriously. So it's great that we've highlighted today. So the mosquito lesson. What would you say was the lesson of today's episode?
Good question. I would say that malaria is more than a parasite. It's like a mirror. Yeah. So it shows you where inequality lives. It shows you where systems fail and where hope still fights back. So every child saved is a victory, not just for the medicine but for humanity, if that makes sense.
It will. And
so if you're traveling, and sometimes I see people in clinic, they're traveling tomorrow, and then they're like ringing us today to say, hey, I'm traveling tomorrow, and they've already booked a ticket like 6 months ago. You're kind of like, why, right? And in some instances, some people may not even have, you may not even want to give them the medications that they can, let's say, for example, they contraindicated taking other medications. Then now they travel running the risk of becoming exposed to Nigeria. And if you don't have travel insurance, which is another thing I would have to put in here as well, to say, make sure that you have a travel insurance. Because if you become very sick and have to be repatriated to your country or you traveled from, it can be extraordinarily expensive. So I would say, if you're buying a travel insurance, make sure that there's a repatriation option in it. Because we've seen a lot of people go there, they get stuck. Unless you're actually from that country and then your family are going to be able to afford medical care. But if you want to go back to wherever you're coming from, particularly in the Western world, get travel insurance that has repatriation.
Wow, okay. Well, hopefully one day malaria will just be something we read about in the history books. But thanks for raising these key points and reminding us that it's still very much a threat. Yeah,
my hope will be like someday I'll be able to say to my grandchildren, there's something that used to call malaria back in the days. I'm glad that you guys never made them. That will make me happy.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Amobi. And thank you again for tuning in for another episode of Medicine in Small Doses. If you enjoyed this episode, then I would encourage you to share. I think the information on today's episode was particularly useful. So please share, please subscribe to Medicine in Small Doses with Dr. Amobi on YouTube, and like and subscribe and leave us a review. If you're listening to this episode through a podcast platform, leave a 5-star review so the episode can get shared and help more people. There'll be a link to Dr. Amobi's website below for more information. And until the next episode, thank you.